Hello, everyone. I really enjoy thinking profoundly about things, and there's something in particular I'd like to share with you. I'd like to look ahead at the future world in the years 2035, 2050, 2060, and 2070. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm really scared. I'm scared for what the deaf community is going to look like in the year 2070. They're desperately screaming for our help. We're their last hope. If we mess things up now, then the deaf community will be virtually nothing by the year 2070. I think I was born this way, able to analyze an issue until I'm able to solve the problem. And I know I'm not alone in this. There are very few people who can see the world the same way I do. Most people can't see it. Growing up, deaf people had very similar stories, very similar experiences. Language barriers and the struggles of getting an interpreter. And these stories are going to continue. They're never going to stop. And while technology really has been improving, the ADA has really helped us as the deaf community, it's just not enough. The NAD has tried their best. Deaf grassroots people have tried their best. Education systems have tried their best. They've worked very hard for us. We appreciate them. Everyone in the deaf community understands that there's a problem. And we all play a very important role for the deaf community looking ahead. I want to share with you something I've been thinking about. I've been thinking of ways to resolve this problem. And I've never tried this idea that I've been thinking of. Because what we've been doing has been sufficient. But I want to try something different. What I'm thinking is to send out a clear and incredibly powerful message in the form of a letter. What's key is for this message to be short, but to the point. That's going to be something that really causes the most impact. It'll be beneficial to send this letter out every single year. We've really got to get our point across if we really want to see the change happen. I want to get in contact with all 50 states. I want to get in contact with this whole country and have different deaf businesses and deaf organizations and schools. I want to get in contact with our allies. I want them to sign this letter. Not their names, but the names of their businesses and organizations. I want all of them.
In this letter, you will notice the use of the word denounce. This word does not mean that you actually need to do anything in order to cease these businesses, but rather announce to them that what they are doing is wrong. As time moves forward, it must be recognized eventually that what is happening is wrong. We will send this letter to the different oralism-based organizations such as cochlear and hearing aid businesses that make millions of dollars off of the deaf community. Sending this letter out every single year within the time frame of September 6th through September 11th will be very beneficial. This represents the Milan Conference held in 1880. That year began what was one of the darkest time periods in deaf culture history. Essentially, people who called themselves the International Congress on the Education of the Deaf, or ICED for short, came together in Milan, Italy. After much discussion, they decided to ban the use of ASL, wiping it off of the face of the earth in order to establish the oral method everywhere. The oralism philosophy and all of its effects on the deaf community began at that Milan Conference in 1880. The deaf community is still suffering from many of the effects that those decisions caused, and the deaf community will continue to suffer until the year 2070. Businesses still practice these wrong values, even though the ICED recently announced in 2010 that they were removing their statement banning sign language from their decisions. However, many businesses ignored this recent update, and the practices are still there because these businesses are making a lot of money, billions of dollars every year. This letter needs to contain 3 easily recognized principles, or demands if you will. Number 1, the statement, the system of division set up by your organization is wrong. We need to denounce this system of divide created by separating the oral and no signing child from the cochlear implanted child, from the children who can sign, etc., etc., with absolutely no collaboration or connection between them. The system of division created the opportunity for the messages that people received to be controlled, like brainwashing. That is not right, and we need to denounce it. Secondly, a powerful message about taking our ASL back. They keep trying to ignore ASL and even make it disappear again, as they tried earlier at the Milan Conference. They will dismiss ASL and mention the language and its culture as a last option, but we are powerful and remain. Lastly, a powerful message about the insulting myths told to hearing parents about what they should do with their deaf baby. For example, all the myths that learning to sign is bad because if they go to a deaf school, the level of education is lower there, or the myths about children growing up oral and learning how to listen get all muffled up and mudded with the truth, which is exactly the reason why we need to have these 3 clear main points. That message in that letter should be the same exact message year after year. We as the American deaf community have the responsibility to send out this same message every year, denouncing these organizations. Here are a few examples of the organizations I am referring to. There are many more, but here are a few. These businesses are so powerful because of how much money they make. Therefore, we must roll up our sleeves and stand together to denounce these organizations. It starts with all of you. Today's era is very disappointing to me, as some have decided not to care anymore, since there are new technologies and legislations that provide deaf people with more rights, such as interpreters, outlined in the ADA, among others. So what are we fighting for exactly? We are fighting for a different world for the year 2070. We are fighting for the deaf community to have an opposite lifestyle than they do right now. They depend on us, and again, it is really up to you. Thanks.